Welcome to Privacy Now, your go-to podcast for privacy, crypto, and AI. Each episode, we dive into the latest advancements, explore cutting-edge innovations, and bring you insights from experts shaping the future of Web3 and AI. From crypto degenerates to the ones in it for the tech, Privacy Now has got you covered.
And we should be good to go. So, hey everyone, welcome back to Privacy Now, the podcast, where we explore the frontiers of privacy, decentralization, and the future of digital trust. As always, I'm your host, Mihnea Stefanescu, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Dr. Adam Gągol. He's the co-founder of Aleph Zero, CEO of Cardinal Cryptography, the driving force behind Blanksquare, which is a new privacy middleware that's redefining how compliance, regulation, and on-chain confidentiality can work together. And I think Adam's journey is fascinating, from earning a PhD in mathematics and working in machine learning for neuroscience to co-founding one of the most technically advanced L1s and now leading an initiative that brings privacy as a service to any EVM chain. Adam, it's a pleasure to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
It's my pleasure. And I saw that your background starts in, give me just one more second to mute my notifications because I totally forgot to do that. I always forget to turn off my notifications. You know how we all are, a million messages a minute. Okay, so what I was saying, your background starts in programming, not in programming, but in deep mathematics, a PhD involving everything from combinatorics to machine learning in neuroscience, which I think is a topic in itself for a separate episode. So before we dive into Blanksquare, how did that rigorous analytical foundation form your transition into cryptography and blockchain, which is fundamentally about trust and verifiable proof?
So I think I'm already on my perhaps third stage of working in crypto. I'm full-time in crypto for 8 years now, and part-time 4 or 5 years more even. So like initially, I was just doing PhD in mathematics, in not related to cryptography. It was a probabilistic theory and combinatorics, as you mentioned. And I was just a geek, so I was mining Bitcoin in the early days. Actually, it was the times where there were no professional mining racks available. So the adventure of mining Bitcoin and then Ethereum was mostly about kind of a built-in computer out of a cabinet bought in IKEA. And I was working much more in cutting wood to put the GPUs in proper alignment than the actual computers.
I can relate because I had an Ethereum mining farm and we had, I think, 1,200 GPUs at some point. So I can totally relate because we built everything ourselves. So I know how that was.
Right. So these were fun times, great adventures at my PhD, but that was like a hobby. That was not my main thing I was focusing on. And then after I finished PhD, I had this thing with neuroscience, which was a great adventure, absolutely unrelated to crypto, of course. And then I got interested in consensus protocols because this was actually part of crypto that I felt quite close to my PhD. I mean, from combinatorics to consensus protocols, especially DAG-related consensus protocols, which back then seemed to be the most promising angle, that was pretty close. And I was really surprised that crypto can be not only the hobby, but the actual thing I was doing, my main thing I feel I'm skilled at, could be used for crypto. So that was an amazing discovery for me. And then I got some of my friends, Michał, who's been doing university work with me, Antoni, who I met at my birthday party actually, and we founded Aleph Zero, which initially was focusing on just that, on making a progress when it comes to consensus protocols and making blockchains fast and scalable. Because back then, 7+ years ago, that seems to be the biggest problem in the crypto sphere. I believe we did solve it. We haven't been the only ones to solve it, unfortunately or fortunately for crypto. we did build the blockchain, and then we immediately started to find another problems, like what we thought to be the other big problem in crypto back then seems to be super niche, is privacy. So like I think this is funny, because for most people who are not deep into crypto, they associate crypto with privacy a lot, like Bitcoin, or like my mother, aunt, and everyone. They would assume that Bitcoin is absolutely super private, when in fact it's way less private than any other financial system they ever used. So it's unfortunately much hard. It used to be much harder to sell, but I think something like maybe 3.5 years ago, we started to explore in privacy various technologies, various use cases. I think initially we had this, I'd say, academic bias where, and I think many projects have it, where instead of thinking about what product is the most wanted, needed, you start thinking about what is the hard problem that you could solve here. And like, it doesn't make sense right now. I think this is one of the things I learned since I started, that like, it's not about finding the problem which is hard, it's about finding the problem which is worth solving. And it can be easy. If it's easy, it's even better. I mean, like, it's not academia. We're not here to write academic papers about hard stuff. We're here to provide infrastructure for people. We're here to provide products for people which are not there yet and which are needed. So
I think that's the ethos of Web3. Like, I think that's the most fascinating aspect of this field, that people are constantly trying to solve problems and helping each other out and developing new things. That's how this whole industry moves forward.
Right, but I would still say that, like, as a big part of our team have big academic roots, we needed to go through quite a long way to get this thinking out of our heads that it's about tackling the hardest problems. It's not always about tackling the hardest problems. So like, what we started with was thinking about multi-party computation and fully private computation on some abstract data and things like that, because we feel that this is academically achievable and generally possible to deploy, while like that was over 3 years ago. So like 3 years passed and we still don't have mainstream privacy for just token transfers. Like with private computations, this is much further. We still don't have even this basic thing, well-designed private token transfers, or like well-adopted private token transfers. Of course, I mean, I'm well aware of the projects which are providing this feature. It's just that there is still not so many integrations. There is still not so much adoption of it. Like the TVL in the shielded pools is like really small fraction of the entire TVL in crypto. So right now, like, what we are thinking about is not this super abstract hard problems. It's more business/product related problems, which are how to make it so that this basic privacy, which should be assumed by everyone, is integrated where people are like using crypto.
I agree. And this actually, we need to discuss the actual product, of course. But I'm happy that you mentioned Aleph Zero, because I've been following Aleph Zero for a while, and you already built a full stack solution for privacy. And now with Blanksquare, you've pivoted from a L1 narrative to a composable privacy infrastructure, a middleware that operates across EVM chains such as Base, such as Ethereum. So my question would be like, why this strategic shift? What did you learn from building an L1 that convinced you a middleware approach was the necessary passive adoption? Is this what you mentioned, that a direct B2B solution would be better, providing an SDK for companies, for solutions?
So actually, this is quite important revelation that we had, and that happened, I think, simultaneously in our heads and also in conversations with various partners. That there has been numerous projects, some of which I really admired from like due to their technical expertise, which tried to provide or provided privacy-focusing apps. And I don't think anymore that the problem or the reason for lack of mainstream adoption of privacy is that there is no privacy app with a perfect UX. I'm not saying that privacy apps have perfect UX like the current. Of course, there are things to be improved, but to be honest, I don't think that improving these things will make everyone ditch MetaMask, Phantom Wallet, or like all the other wallets and jump straight into this new perfect privacy wallet.
Of course not.
It's not gonna happen. So like selling privacy as a standalone product is hard because you need to convince people, like big part of which is not even aware of the lack of privacy in their like the way of operating crypto, and the other part is maybe aware, but it's not such a big pain for them to actually change everything, to learn new thing, to learn new flow, or like just I don't know. It's like switching from Windows, Linux to MacBook. That's like requires some effort. So I think how like our initial thought was that, all right, so if that's not the way, then maybe we should just integrate to the existing wallet. This is what the current Ethereum privacy roadmap states, that this is the way to actually bring privacy to the users, to chase these integrations with the wallet. And this is part of our strategy still. So we are searching for partners, like also wallet-like partners, where we can integrate. But like then we realized that this is by far not everything that we can do, because like when it comes to the actual volumes, on-chain volumes, like this is something that we should look at. The people who are just initiating regular transfers from wallets, yes, this is one vertical. It's of course very big, but it's also quite hard to penetrate by privacy project, because like there is tremendous amount of wallets. Like the big ones are quite conservative and hard to convince, and the small ones doesn't have so much volume. So what we started to look at are other verticals where privacy perhaps solves even bigger problems. So like for wallets, this is, I think, mostly maybe kind of like an ideological or maybe even a lifestyle choice. Like privacy, to some extent, I feel that this is a lifestyle choice. For example, like for me, privacy is very important in general, not only in crypto, also like in messaging, in everything. And I know people like that. But also I know people who openly doesn't care. Right?
Yeah.
This can go pretty far. I know someone
unfortunately, yeah.
I know people who openly say that they don't care if anyone reads their messages, which I find, well, weird, but it's not it's not such a big value for everyone. And I think it's much harder to sell this kind of based only on this kind of ideological and well lifestyle like promises. So we're looking for verticals where privacy can solve somewhat bigger pains. So like, for example, it's much bigger obstacle, like lack of privacy, for bigger institutions to enter blockchain. So like for regular users, as long, I mean, most of the users doesn't pay crypto in, I don't know, pharmacy or like places where they really wouldn't like to be tracked. Most people use crypto as sort of an investment, and they doesn't care so much whether anyone like watches where they actually get their yield from, or things like that. Like, this is minor pain. For institutions, though, this is a big pain. Like, if they invest significant amounts into crypto and their competition can look into that, this is definitely a bigger pain. If there is a provider which is a custodian and reinvests funds of their clients, this is even bigger pain. So, like, this kind of flows are the ones where I believe privacy can be integrated, well, technically not easier, but there is a much bigger business incentive to actually do that, because the pain of lack of it is bigger.
So what you're saying is that you're trying to not only tackle the wallet issues, but focus on bigger verticals and more important verticals.
Maybe not bigger, maybe more important, but the ones where there is just a bigger product market fit for privacy.
So what would be some of the use cases for implementing?
I already said about like general institutional way. So, for example, there is currently no, because it's technically actually quite advanced thing, there is no private multi-sig vault, which is an obstacle. I mean, multi-sigs usually are used by sort of bigger players. So it seems to us that it's a better market fit than non-multi-sig wallets for retail users. So other thing is what we recently are thinking about are this vesting protocols. So like the protocols which are used to provide vesting structure for new tokens. So here, like, there is a particular problem to be solved, which is, let's say, me or you or any kind of investor enters some investment with a particular structure. So the agreement is that he buys the tokens and they will be vested for 2 years. They will be locked for 2 years, let's say, and then they will be, in theory, free to trade. Unfortunately, though, how it usually works in crypto, that even after these 2 years, if you have been like a big investor, like, everyone will watch your wallet and you're gonna face tremendous community pressure to not sell. Like, the moment your tokens, even though like the deal was 2 years, right? So, well, 2 years passed, you should be free to go. But yet, I mean, I guess everyone knows that, like, there will be this kind of a pressure. So, like, this is, for example, some market where privacy would be a very natural solution. So, like, the deal is the deal, right? Like, the deal is over, I can do whatever I want. And this kind of pressure is in some way unfair.
I mean, I agree, but that's not how communities see it, because, of course, you're seen as a big player who dumps in the market, and
yes,
this is what the price. But
with the founders, I'd say it's a different thing with the founders. But when it comes to external investors, like, if 2 years is not enough, sure, let's say let's make 3 years of a vesting structure. But like, let's make it as an open, kind of like a transparent deal, rather than this pressure-based thing, which feels weird. And like, I know, for example, that this here, there is some product market fit. There are products that would be interested in that. So like, this is, for example, one of the verticals. Like, the other one is, for example, general payment providers that are using stable coins right now, but not because they offer any specific crypto products. These are like traditional payment providers that used to be only in TradFi. Right now, they just enter and use stable coins as part of their flow, because it's much easier sometimes to do international transfers with stable coins. But then, like, there are these unforeseen consequences. Like, as long as they didn't touch crypto, like, everything was private by default. Of course, all the banking transfers are private, and like, this is what their flows are kind of built for. And right now, like, well, yeah, stablecoins offer a lot of good things, but like, the entire flow sometimes breaks apart due to the fact that everything can be tracked.
Exactly. Privacy is not one of the things they offer. So yeah, I think that's a good use case, like providing privacy to transactions, to stablecoin transactions.
And this is like what's maybe important to notice. It's entirely separate from providing privacy to crypto users or to wallets. Like these flows are entirely separate part of how blockchains are used.
So you're using zero knowledge proofs, right? But one of the biggest, the biggest obstacle when it comes to ZKPs is speed. How fast can your system generate a complete proof? And
so the answer, I think, requires some context here, because it depends on where. Like, it's very easy, I'd say, to quickly generate proof if you assume that user will download your application or your desktop application. Although, like, no one is actually doing that. Like, I don't know even if I know anyone. Maybe Bitcoin maxis do that, but like, besides Bitcoin users, I don't think anyone is actually installing the desktop app as a main wallet. People are either using browser extensions or mobile. And this comes with severe limitations. So like, when it comes to compute power, the browser extension, yes, it can compute, but it computes in a very restricted environment. And mobile, well, it computes on mobile. So these are much more restrictive environments. But we do have on modern both laptops and mobiles. We have close to 1 second proof computation times. So in browser, on modern laptop, and on mobile. Like on modern MacBooks and iPhones is way below 1 second. On other devices is like between 1 and 2, I'd say. So this is, and it's not freezing entire machine. This is just some background process which needs this 1 to 2 seconds to finalize. So I'd say that this is already the time where it kind of blends into the fact that you anyway need to wait for transactions to be entered the block, and so on. So it's already fast enough, I'd say, to be considered like kind of like a smooth.
Yeah, I agree. Like, everything takes 1 second. 1 second. A website, some websites load in 10 seconds. So that's 1 second is good. I did wanna discuss the core mechanism a bit, like the shielded accounts and the relay network. Because I didn't understand the whole thing, but like, how does the system preserve composability with the existing DeFi protocols? Like, traditionally, when you shield an asset, you lose the ability to easily interact with the AMMs or lending protocols. Like, how does Blanksquare solve that?
So, well, the short answer is that this problem is not possible to be solved, and there is a way to say it so it's a bit easier to understand. So like, not very technical way. So imagine you have your like shielded funds. What does it mean that they are shielded? Like, they're not public. You're leaving the cryptography alone. Let's say you have 100 USDC, and it's not public that you have it. It's your private account. So now you enter some DeFi protocol like Uniswap. Let's say you go to the Uniswap application, and there is some front end presented to you, right? And like, how it usually works, how you expect it to work, is that this front end knows how much you have, because like you want to have this. You want this front end to show you that, well, if you put 110, it's going to be all red, and it will tell you that, well, you don't have so much funds. Like, this front end needs to know how much you own. So like, it's like, so either the front end will know or it's private. I mean, this already shows that it's not possible that for it to just work. Something needs to be done. Some work needs to be done here. And I think what's important is, like, it's not a crazy cryptography solution for this problem. It's more about user experience. So like the proper way, we believe it very strongly, the proper way to solve this problem is that if you want to use any DeFi app, you need to unshield your tokens using a fresh account. So let's say if you want to swap 100 USDC for some other token, you need to use a fresh account, put this 100 USDC, swap it in public on Uniswap or wherever you want, and then shield it back. And that's the only like technical on-chain way to integrate this kind of privacy with DeFi, with public DeFi that we have right now. Of course, like when there are projects pursuing like building entire DeFi as a private computation, that's a separate, very interesting, but a separate thing. But when we're talking about how to integrate it on existing protocols on Ethereum, let's say, I think this is the only way. And then the only remaining question is, how hard is it going to be for the user, like when it comes to the user experience? So that's what we are focusing on. So it's like minimizing amount of clicks and also not requiring like a deep technical knowledge from the user to actually do it.
I think that's the most important thing in the end, because this is one of the biggest problems that crypto has, that there are a million protocols doing the same thing, a million DEXs, a million. So abstraction, I think, is the most important one. Like having 2-3 big DEXs, right? Not too many DeFi products, because users tend to get confused and bored with the amount of solutions that there are out there, right? So you offering those core solutions for existing products is the way to go, I think.
Yeah, I also think so. Also because private swaps, like it's not. So, I mean, of course, there is some product market fit, but it's not so amazing solution so that users would ditch Uniswap and go for this like a private swap instead. I mean, yeah, some users would, but the vast majority would stay using what they use right now.
Exactly. There was another thing that I wanted to discuss with you, because I know you said a couple of things about this, and it's important to discuss the regulatory environment. Because any discussion around privacy inevitably leads to compliance, right? And you noted that both a lack of privacy and an abundance of privacy can cause legal doubts. So the classic conflict is basically GDPR grants the right to be forgotten, right? While blockchains are immutable, as you said, like people don't realize this, but most blockchains are immutable. So how do you navigate this tension to be compliant by design for high-value enterprise and financial use cases?
So first of all, I don't think it's worth thinking that blockchains are not GDPR compliant. I mean, like blockchains are already widely accepted also in European Union. It's a kind of a different world where GDPR doesn't kind of apply so much. It's sovereign world, and so I wouldn't go as far to say that blockchains are illegal because they don't have privacy. I mean, like they are accepted. What is problematic from the compliant perspective, of course, are privacy protocols that are used for money laundering, which means majority of privacy protocols.
Yeah.
So like we're part of this sort of a new wave of privacy protocols. I'd say that until 1, maybe 2 years ago, all the protocols were just that, like, yeah, come here, you can make your tokens private and yeah, that's great. But it's also, I'd say, irresponsible. I mean, yes, as much as I value privacy for ideological reasons, I do sincerely think that deploying solutions which allow like very, very evil people with very ill intentions to get away is unethical. And like even leaving the regulations aside, I really honestly wouldn't like our solution to be used by North Korea to launder funds from thefts. And this is not like some abstract scenario. This is what happens on blockchain.
Unfortunately,
like, have been laundered, or I think even in total, billions have been laundered through various privacy protocols. So this is very important, say, conversation. And I actually, like, it's very often scoped in a way that this is a kind of conversation where we need to work with these annoying regulations. I don't think that it's about working with annoying regulations. I think it's about being responsible and not making the world a worse place, but rather a better place. So definitely not allowing North Korea to launder money is kind of part of making the world a good place to live. And well, that was kind of maybe far-fetched, let's say, narrative, but in general, coming back to the technical grounds, what we're doing is that we are enabling revealing of a trace of a transaction under certain conditions, and also for past transactions. And we believe that this is the only actual way that it can work. I think there are right now two ideas of working with compliance in privacy protocols. One idea is that whenever you deposit funds to a privacy protocol, you need to wait for some time. So, like, for example, in Railgun is 1 hour. In privacy pools is like, they say it's a week. Oftentimes it's shorter, but it's up to 1 week. And during this time, the deposit is being verified. So, like, there is some process, which I don't think is entirely public, but there is some process to check where are these funds coming from. And only when it's verified, then you're free to go, you're inside, and then you can, well, enjoy the privacy and withdraw anytime you want. And I think this is problematic because there has been major hacks of bridges that hasn't been discovered for several months. So, like, okay, this is a good mechanism, but it doesn't cover everything. So, like, the only solution that actually protects against ill actors, I believe, is a solution that is able to retroactively reveal what happened in the past. And that's what we're doing. So there is a way where there is a very specific key that can be used to it. We're going to hold it in trusted execution environment. So, like, it's clear that we don't just pick into the people transfers whenever we want, but there is an on-chain process for this reveal, and it's public what we're revealing. But I think this is the only way to make it safe, to allow in the system for such a reveal that goes into historic transfers.
Okay. So you're using TEs as well, but because I wanted to ask.
Yes, only for this part. Okay. And while in general, I know that there has been attacks on TE, like in our paradigm, this is the TE that we control. So, like, we're not going to be attacking ourselves. I think this is the safer scenario than what happened in Secret Network a couple of years back.
Yeah. Sorry if I interrupted you.
Oh, no, that's like, that's the general design and our thought on.
Okay.
Well, compliance is kind of like the word compliance makes this discussion about regulation. And as I said, I don't think this is only a discussion about regulations. This is a discussion about ethics in big part and what we want to build.
Yeah, I agree. And the solution that you implement, I think, like Railgun and privacy pools, I did have Amin on the show a while back. I think that's the most safe way to.
Yeah,
I mean, how
say that they are doing something wrong. I think this is a very important thing to explore more than one direction. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think they have been exploited. And maybe it's gonna occur, but it's enough, or at least it's enough for a repellent to hackers. Like, it's enough that hackers don't feel safe enough to put funds into privacy pools, and that means that it's good enough. The compliance solution.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I had one curiosity about RWAs because I think it's part of your vertical, right? Uh, why do you think complete transparency is an existential threat to RWAs, to real world assets?
I don't think it's much more existential threat than to other verticals. Like the thing about real world assets is that big part of this vertical is institutional driven. So there is much more bigger players in this vertical, and I think there is a big difference when it comes to thinking about investments between retail and institutions. Like for a general crypto user, most people, I think, care very little about their friends looking into where they get the yield from. Like, do they put funds in Morpho or some other protocol? I don't think people care that much. When it comes to institutions, yes, this starts to becoming important. Like, one thing is competition, of course, like looking at the revenue. Like, a lot about institution can be estimated from the fact how they're using their funds, like what kind of assets are they exposed to. Like with real world assets, like it's also about being exposed to certain kinds of risks. So like this is why I think it's a better, I don't think it's an existential risk. I think it's significantly better product market fit.
Yeah. I mean, basically, you're saying that big institutions are worried that their portfolio would become public and everybody would.
Yes. Also, like with real world assets, there is this concept of being exposed to some risks. I mean, okay, maybe with crypto investments it's the same, but it's about, I think, size of a player and kind of a player which is using this vertical.
Yeah, I agree. And you're launching a mobile app, right? Yes, I think on Base and Ethereum, or just Base initially.
Base and Ethereum. I'm not sure when this episode will be aired, but quite possibly it's going to be already launched.
Okay. I'll try to make it fast then.
Okay. We have a waiting list for the mobile. So initially it's going to be a gated launch. This is a way for us to get more feedback for the app. I mean, we do believe that it's really one of the best privacy apps right now when it comes to UX. It's audited, so it's safe. But still, like it's our first launch for this app. So we really want this user feedback, and that's why we have this waiting list, and we're trying to get some community and some contact with real users to understand how people are using it and what flows create some friction, perhaps.
Okay, I haven't gotten on the waiting list, but I'll do that after the call. I want to try it out. Okay, and. We're kind of closing. We're kind of close to the end. I know you have to jump after this filming this episode. So let me get to my final question, and then I have the usual lightning round I do with all in all episodes. That'll be quick. But for the final question, looking out 3 years ahead, how do you see the privacy landscape evolving?
I really hope it's gonna evolve in a way where we don't speak so much about this or that privacy protocol, but this becomes essential part of the infrastructure. So like there are just protocols that already onboarded it and the ones that didn't. But in general, it's not kind of like a Blanksquare against Railgun, against privacy pools, against like it's not. Users are not exposed to this kind of choice. I really hope users will not have to choose a particular privacy solution, or like they're not going to have to choose to use privacy. It's just going to be in the products they're using anyway.
Yeah, that, as I said, that would be the ideal scenario for users, so they don't have to make a choice every time. Okay, and now we have a lightning round, 6 short questions. It's going to be fun, I promise. Okay, so first question is one crypto myth you want to bust.
I think a lot of people, like, this is something I already said, like, this is the myth about, or like the wrong way of thinking that many founders have, that it's about finding a hard problem and solving it. It's a wrong way to look at it. It's not about solving the hardest technical problem you can find. It's about finding a place where solving some problem can actually bring maximal amount of benefits to the real users. And it's a very, very different way of thinking.
Yeah, I agree. Hardest part of explaining privacy tech to investors, since we're talking about investors.
Yeah, I think limitations. I mean, like, let's be honest, it's not kind of like, it's not that we can make everything private and super smooth. Like, privacy is a complex cryptography, so it has some limitations. It's very important to have it, but it has some limitations, and oftentimes there is only one reasonable way to integrate it to some specific flow. So, like, you have to trust us in some.
They need to. What's your favorite programming language right now at the moment?
English, of course, English. It's like, to be honest, I'm not coding that much, and when I do, it's always vibe coding. And whatever I'm trying to do, it's always starts with a prompt. And then, of course, I try this thing to be done in a technology that I generally understand. So then I can fix something perhaps. But oftentimes I don't have to, especially that, as I said, what I'm coding right now are mostly experiments for myself rather than the end product. So yeah, English.
I love vibe coding myself. Like, I mess around with it whenever I have time. Okay, a Web3 project, besides yours, of course, that you admire.
So there is a project which is unfortunately dead right now, but I think that was one of, or maybe even my favorite project. It's Penumbra. That was a privacy project on Cosmos ecosystem. They have a lot of really deep technical thoughts about trading. They had this very good narrative that privacy, as like, this is also what we discussed, that they had this very strong intuitions that you cannot sell privacy because private is better. You need to find some economic benefits of having things done in private. So they have been doing this dark pool on Cosmos, a lot of great technical insights, amazing community. When they did a ceremony for ZK, I think they had 10,000 participants. It was really the biggest, saddest thing this year when I read that is discontinued. I love this project.
I know. I had one of their team members invited, and yeah, it's sad. Okay, if you weren't building in crypto, what would you be doing?
I hope. I mean, like, probably if I would have to create a new project and I would, I don't know, have some kind of a ban for crypto, I would try to find some niche where AI is not kind of like abundant yet, and do some kind of AI project just because it's cool and I enjoy playing around with it.
Okay.
As
nice.
Everyone, I assume.
As everyone. I know we had a similar question, but one word that defines the future of privacy.
Unnoticeable. I really hope it's gonna be unnoticeable. Like, you're not even gonna think about it.
Nice. I like that. Well, this wraps up the lightning round as well. So we've come to an end. Yeah, that's a wrap. Huge thank you, Adam, for joining us and for showing that the future of privacy isn't about hiding from regulation, but engineering for it. Of course, if you enjoyed this conversation, you can find the full episode on Twitter, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, of course. And if you want to learn more about Blanksquare, check out their site and documentation. It will be linked in the description of the episode. I think it's one of the most exciting privacy infrastructures being built today. Once again, Adam, thank you.
Thank you.
And until next time, stay private, stay curious, and build fearlessly.
Stay curious, everyone. And thanks for having me.
Thanks, Adam.